Zcash is going to zero, and this is why we are selling. I'm here with Carl Moon to explain the entire story behind exactly what is happening to Zcash, why it is down 20% within the last 24 hours, and the breaking news behind it. But Carl, do you have initial thoughts before we cover exactly what is happening to Zcash right now?
Well, I think rule number one in crypto is if you want to hold something for a long time without any fear, anxiety, and doubt, you buy Bitcoin and you hold long term because that's the safest asset in not only crypto but in the world, in my opinion. But that said, altcoins, they are a bit of a casino because even when you find your perfect altcoin, you made all of your research, there's still usually a CEO who can leave or who can go to prison, or there's a developer who can make some damage to the code, or there's a whole development team who can actually leave. So yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. In the case of Zcash, what happened was, so there is a company called the electric company, the ECC, the electric coin company, and this is the company behind the development of the Zcash coin. So what took place earlier on today was that there was a disagreement between the core developers and the board and basically the CEO. The board wanted to go on with the wallet, or the team, they wanted to go on with the wallet, but there was disagreement. One of them didn't want to do it. One of the parties said that this is endangering our mission to make Zcash the privacy coin for the people. And one of the parties didn't agree, so the founding team just completely resigned and said that they will likely go ahead and create their own new company. And like Carl mentioned, right, coins that pretend to be Bitcoin or want to be better than Bitcoin, they always end up failing. They fail because, well, there's always a CEO, there's always a board of directors, there's always people involved that will disagree with other people. And then what? Suddenly innovation stops. So nothing can beat Bitcoin. Bitcoin doesn't have a CEO. Bitcoin doesn't have a public development team. It's the most decentralized network where if a change has to happen, there is a consensus of approval between so many different computers and individuals across the world to come to that decision. So it's such a shame, but we kind of predicted it. We said, I'm staying away from privacy coins, right? And it's actually doing still fine. We're at $398. Do you
Now,
believe that it will eventually go to zero, Carl?
yeah, zero, not sure about that,
I
but
think it will.
I
I
mean,
personally think it will.
I think zero, yeah, I mean, over 100 years,
Yeah.
yeah, it will go to zero.
Exactly.
Yeah. This cycle, probably not, but I do think it's a great short because it's been pumping like absolute crazy, and this FUD now could be the beginning of the end for Zcash for this cycle. So combine that with a potential Bitcoin bear market as per the 4-year cycle. This could be maybe the biggest short in this cycle. So if I want to go and short the heck out of this right now, where do I go, CryptoKid?
You can actually go to Weeks. If you don't have an account already, you can set one up easily with the link in the description down below. The first link, it takes 40 seconds to sign up. I've been trading there for the past year. You've been trading there for the past year. And with our first link, you can always get the best bonus available. You can sell if you want your existing Zcash if you wish to do so on spot. Or if you want to derivatives trade it, then you can also go to Weeks and do it right now. I see a huge double top taking place. And if we lose this neckline at $320, then it's possible we go into the double digits once more. I mean, most people don't know this, but Zcash was actually quite popular back in the days. And Carl, I want to ask you one final question before leaving you. And that is, do you know historically, right? So in 2021, it was pretty good and then it eventually collapsed. Do you know what happens to coins, historically speaking, because you've been around for many, many years? Anything that claims to be better than Bitcoin or the next Bitcoin, what happens to them? Do they still exist or do they go to zero?
I mean, they always eventually lose in interest. You know, like look at Bitcoin Trash and Bitcoin Cash and BSV, for example. All these and also Litecoin. Like, there's no one really looking at these things anymore as a alternative to Bitcoin because they're simply not. And back in the days, I remember how when I jumped into crypto back in 2017, I remember how Litecoin had this narrative of it's the silver to gold in Bitcoin. So Litecoin to Bitcoin is silver to gold. So and I kind of bought it in the beginning. So I was like, oh, that makes sense. So I was buying some Litecoin back then. But eventually I realized that It doesn't make any sense at all. So Btrash that we can see on the
So
screen right now
this is Bitcoin Cash to Bitcoin, and I think most people make the mistake. Carl, obviously you can back this up, right? They check the USDT price of Bitcoin Cash, or they check the USDT price of Litecoin. But what you're supposed to do is check it in the price of Bitcoin, because that's what they're aiming to compete with. And when you check it in the price of Bitcoin, look, I mean, it's completely collapsed. We can do the same for Litecoin, which is LTC to BTC. You will notice, look, it's gone to zero. So to Bitcoin, right? Even though Zcash in the short term is doing okay compared to Bitcoin, it will eventually go down to zero. And that's my personal projection.
It will go to zero, yeah. And especially against Bitcoin, it will bleed over the next 10, 20 years, that's for sure. So, there could be an altcoin season this year, and maybe short term, we see altcoins outperform Bitcoin for a short period of time. But over years, if you want to put your money and forget it, set and forget, then for sure, just keep Bitcoin. Altcoins, I truly believe altcoins are a massive casino, which is not necessarily bad. Like, it's just a fact. You can make money from a casino, but most people lose in a casino. So you really have to be careful when you jump into a casino, and just know that that's what you're doing, and only put into altcoins what you can afford to lose, because, hey, there's a big chance you might actually lose.
Exactly. Well, Carl, thank you so much for joining me on my video. We're going to make a video on your channel now talking about Bitcoin and why Bitcoin can go lower. So if you're interested, make sure to check out the Moonshow channel, where I do daily live streams as well, Monday to Friday, where we break down the latest breaking news and the latest setups through a weekday basis. So Carl, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to destroy the like button, subscribe if you're not already a crypto kid.
Should we short Zcash now?
Well, I think doing a short with low leverage to keep it open for the next 2, 3, 4 years could be a very interesting idea. So over on weeks, what you can do is, right, because we said, like Carl said, in the short term, we can see altcoins go up. We can see, Zcash maybe recover a little bit, but we know that it's essentially over for Zcash. So if you have a mindset for the next 4 years, it could be a nice passive income to open a short position with 2x leverage, maybe even only like 1.5x leverage, like something very, very low risk, and then keep it open for the next 4 years. And that could be good passive income on the side.
Yeah, I mean, I would do 5 to 10x for sure, but yeah, it's definitely a good short, I think.
All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Carl, and I'll see you all on the next video very soon. Take care, everyone, and as always, bye-bye.